a beggar found a piece of gold in the desert. He immediately called the driver over. The driver tested it with a lighter. It was indeed a piece of gold. The two of them grabbed a shovel and began digging down to try to dig the gold out, but the piece of gold was simply too big. They couldn't move it. They then drove the car over, but even after the rope snapped, they still couldn't pull it out. It seemed there was a gold mine underneath. Seeing that the sun was about to set, he suggested they first gather some wood to build a fire to prevent wild dogs from attacking them after dark. The beggar looked around and saw that there were no wild dogs in sight. That night, the two sat by the fire and discussed their options. The driver said they couldn't stay like this forever. One of them had to go out and find an excavator, while the other stayed behind to guard the gold. The driver often traveled through this desert and knew how to survive, so he decided to stay behind himself and sent the beggar out to find an excavator. But the beggar insisted that he would rather die than leave the gold behind, and told the driver to go find the excavator. Seeing he couldn't change the beggar's mind, the driver had no choice but to let him stay. The next day, the driver took out their food and divided it up, leaving a small bucket of water for the beggar and taking the large one for himself, saying he needed to refill the water in the truck. He then gave the beggar a cell phone, promising to keep in touch at any time. With that, he drove off. The desert sun grew increasingly scorching. The beggar had no choice but to put on his hat. He covered the exposed gold with sand, afraid it would be discovered by passers-by. Then he tied a piece of cloth to a dead tree to provide temporary shelter from the scorching sun. Unaccustomed to surviving in the desert, even a single scorpion would terrify him to death. He used a stick to chase the scorpion away. The day was quickly drawing to a close, but the night was the hardest part to endure. Sitting by the campfire, listening to the howls of wild dogs in the distance, the beggar began to regret his decision. The next day, while gathering firewood, he saw something glowing in the distance. Thinking it was a larger cache of gold, he grabbed his gear and went to investigate. But he found that the gold had been exposed by the wind, so he covered it with a stone. Then he made his way to the glowing spot. It turned out to be a worthless box. Disappointed, he looked back and saw an airplane in the distance.